Greetings, Flameborn. This is Eerie Knight of the Pseudo Posse, returning to the latest Enshrouded update, Wake of the Water. And wow, what an update! It contains a massive amount of new content, easily giving 30 to 40 hours of playtime, assuming all you do is adventure. With so much content to cover, I've condensed all the useful things I learned along my journey into 70 tips, tricks, and overall explanation of mechanics. There are plenty of secrets not covered in this guide, as going over everything would make this video exceedingly long, and besides, there are plenty of things left for me to uncover as well. But don't fret, we'll cover many topics in this video, including enemy weapon drops, unique weapon and item locations, all new building blocks, where to find them, food, fishing, farming, resources, elixir well and shroud root locations, everything related to water, and much more. Well, let's not waste any more time and just get right into it. If you are a returning player, I would highly recommend going through all of your storage chests and sort them. The shortcut for doing that is G. Item stack sizes are increased across the board, and you will save a ton of storage space in containers that were previously stuffed. You'll be finding many new resources as you adventure, and you will need a place to put them. You still may need to craft more storage chests, but not immediately. As Keen Games announced in their update videos, weapons have been completely rebalanced in terms of their stats, meaning weapons based on physical damage will have 100% physical damage, and elemental weapons now always deal 50% of their damage with their respective elemental type. If you are a returning player, items you currently own will retain their original stats. However, you should not throw away your old weapons even if you find the same one post-update. Take the Mace of Wrath for example. Before the update, this level 40 mace had a combined base damage of 140, whereas the level 42 version of the mace post-update has a damage output of 87.6. Much of the stacked ice damage was replaced by other skills such as increased merciless attack damage and retaliation. Thus, if you are purely prioritizing damage output, this rebalanced weapon is a downgrade. As such, I highly recommend you compare the stats of new weapons to your previous ones to ensure you are using the best weapon available. Unique lore weapons can now be crafted at the craftspeople. Anything you previously found will automatically be carried over and craftable. Furthermore, if you find any new lore weapons as you progress through the waters of the Veilwater Basin, those will be added to the crafting menu as well. Don't worry, I'll show you all where to find this guy in a little bit. Introduced in this update is also the ability for enemies to drop various weapons they carry. If you are adventuring through the Veilwater Basin, you are likely to find a bunch of scavenger miner axes, as that is the weapon most scavengers carry in the region. However, as you progress, you will find a variety of weapons like wands, bows, swords, and shields from the appropriate fell enemy type, and even a greatsword dropped by the Thunder Brood himself, though scaled down a bit in your relative tiny hands. All sorts of rarities can drop all the way to legendary, so if you are in need of a new weapon, don't ignore the regular mobs you see along the way. Another big change made in this update is the fact that chests cannot be immediately looted, again after the world resets or if in single player you log out and log back in. The chest retains its looted state. They will however respawn in due time, so revisiting chests after a while is still possible. This also extends to quest items. You used to be able to farm these items in the same manner, but now you'll have to wait at least a few in-game days to pass for the loot to respawn. Generally speaking, if the enemies have respawned in a region, the loot should be back as well. The next series of tips will be how to find various unique items on your journey through the new biome. Our first item is the Circlet of Lightning. You can unlock the quest from a lore book, but if you head to this Drakdal camp, slightly northeast of the Veilwater Ancient Spire, you'll find this item at this shrine here. The Gem of Lycanthropy, a legendary gem that gives some nice bonuses, can be found in a night sanctum in the southern part of the Lace Maker Pond in the Shroud northeast of the Ancient Spire. Since it is on the border of the Albanese summits, hypothermia is an issue, and since you have to dive into freezing waters from the mostly frozen over surface, you'll want to bring some frost protection. Failing to do so will actually get you stuck in a death loop. Seriously, I couldn't escape it for a while, as another change in the update allows your character to start where you logged, which is great for taking a break in Hollow Hall's run, but here it is a literal curse. Eventually I managed to swim out fast enough to escape hypothermia, so take that as a cautionary tale. Anyhow, to find the gem, which is a guaranteed item in the chest from my testing, follow this path from the entrance to hit the switch to unlock the door to the chest. If you got a magic build, you may definitely consider these gauntlets a worthy acquisition. To find these, you'll need to venture into the far northwestern region of the biome to the Gateway Outpost Endflame. Upon fighting the mini-boss, which hopefully doesn't end in a draw, enter the wooden double doors and head straight to the bottom. There's a door on the left which requires a lockpick, but you can burst through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man instead and grab the chest directly. Easy peasy. There are several items you can grab in Lord Vorgoth's throne room located in Cromville, which is actually not too far from the previous gauntlets. It is slightly northeast of that location. Head into the castle, and upon reaching the throne room, head left into the dining area, and on the table is a lore note. Read it and you'll unlock the stone decorative pieces. Head through the doors at the end of this room, and at the far end, stuck in a dummy, is the Guard of the North Sword, a one-handed sword that deals cutting and shock damage and can be upgraded to level 50. Definitely a great weapon for you melee character builds out there. Also, it will allow you to craft the item at lower rarity at the blacksmith as previewed in an earlier tip. Now for you mages out there. If you are in need of a stronger Eternal Ice Bolt spell, head to a tomb located again in the far northwest region above the Little Lagoon. Do not attempt this without the use of diving gear at a minimum, as a substantial part of the tomb is flooded. I'll show you all how to find that later on, but make a note of this location if you want the improved spell but don't yet have the diving gear. Located in the Shroud north of the Ancient Spire, within the Drakdal Outpost is a lore inscription you can read to obtain some Drak decorative totems. In order to read it, you will need to drink a Drak Soulward Flask, which is craftable from the Alchemist. It's pretty easy to find within the structure as it is a fairly small one. Just make sure to drink from the flask first. Speaking of which, you should always carry the Drak Soulward Flask on you within this region. These Drak lore notes are everywhere, and if you don't want to miss out on them, you will need to have these handy. As an added bonus, it also grants 10% bonus damage against the Drak, which you will encounter a lot anyhow, so that does not hurt to have either. Other items you should always carry with you in this region include the diver's suit and swim fins once you obtain those. You never know when you'll need these items, and it would be unfortunate to have to return later after you grab them from storage. Building blocks. Small change, but within the crafting user interface, the blocks are now broken down into different categories. Might make it easier to find stone versus wood versus whatever block you are looking for to craft. And within this update, there are 10 new blocks by my count. Let's go through each one and show how to unlock them. First up is the Shell Limestone block, which is simply unlocked by mining Shell Limestone, which is literally everywhere in the new biome. Same deal for the Castle block. Upon grabbing some Shell Limestone, you'll unlock it. Not to be redundant, but again, Shell Limestone will also give you the Castle Roof block. I swear that's the last one. The Bamboo block is unlocked by harvesting some bamboo, which can be found all around the biome in many places. The half-timbered Shell Limestone block is unlocked from gathering palm leaves, which strangely is not a part of the block recipe, so yeah, explain that one to me. The palm leaf roof block is also obtained from palm leaves, which makes much more sense. The rest of the blocks need to be found rather than obtained from collecting a resource. Our first block of this type can be found just outside the Dragon Dream Lake region, slightly west of the historic battleground within a Drakdal temple. Upon diving into the flooded corridor within the temple, follow this path, and tucked into some gold coins is a chest containing the block material. In another Drakdal temple, in the Lake Heartblood area just below the Ancient Spire, is another block. Just before exiting the temple, in the last room with all the gold coins, dig them up and you will find a hidden chest with the Drak Temple roof block. Our next block is located in the attic of a farmhouse at the Dewdrop Farm. Simply head northeast from the spire to the farm, hop onto the roof, through the hole, and open the chest. You'll need a lockpick for this one, so make sure you get at least one in your inventory. Your reward is the Shell Limestone shingles. The last block is much further away, all the way to the northwestern side of the biome, west of the Little Lagoon and east of Stillwater Bay, right in between at the end of a bridge. There are 2 towers on either end of the bridge. Head to the side against the mountain where there is a door with 4 symbols indicating 4 buttons need to be pressed to open it. Ignore those, and instead punch a hole in the wall by the door. Run over to the chest and claim the red carpet block. That concludes all of the new block materials. Now let's move on to resources. First things As it relates to crafting, there are several craftable items now that have alternative material choices. Have you ever hated going into a biome without stone and needed to craft an altar? Recall how annoying that was? No more! You can now craft an altar from a variety of materials that are available in any given biome. The altar isn't the only item that has alternative crafting choices, but it is by far my favorite. This next one is more aimed at new players, but I am sure there will be some new players to the game instead of just returning ones. But here's an important tip for you guys. Mine everything in sight. If it looks interesting, different, or just catches your eye, go whack it with a pickaxe or hand axe. You will unlock a bunch of new recipes by doing this everywhere you go. You have to have the item in your inventory in order to unlock it. And not only that, destroy every object you see. It might contain more refined resources that can also unlock a bunch of unknown recipes. Basically, if you see it, smash it. Do not leave anything unbroken in your way. And finally, whatever refined resources you do unlock but haven't ever collected in your inventory, go craft them. No need to craft a bunch, just one is sufficient, as you can craft more of them if you need it for something else. But always make time to craft stuff you don't have because it will give you more stuff, and more stuff is better. This next one relates to the new tameable animal in the region, the capybara. However, how do you unlock the bait? I'm not sure if there's a better way, but the way I unlocked it was by heading to the capybara hunting Drakdal camp located southwest of the ancient spire. Upon killing one of the enemies there, it drops a baby capybara in the loot, which unlocks the bait recipe, allowing you to capture more of them. These next few will be how to find some of the more difficult to spot resources in the new biome. Banana and plantains can be found from a tree that has this dangling purplish flower. Chop it down and you'll be able to gather bananas and plantains. Ginger can be found in the Starter Dragon Dream Lake region in the Balewater Basin. Note the location on the map and find this little farm plot to get ginger. Passion flowers, which are required to level up your flame strength to level 9, are only found at night within this biome. Simply wander around the biome at night and find the glowing flower. They are easy to spot, but it can take a bit of time to collect enough of them to upgrade your flame level to level 9. Gleam roots, I think, are only found at night in the various lakes, ponds, and rivers in the shallow waters. I'm not 100% sure on this one because I vaguely recall seeing them in the daylight somewhere, but one thing is for sure, they are found in the water, usually close to the shoreline. The only location of rice I've managed to find is within the town of Orville on the western side of it. There is a bunch of crops in the area, including a ton of rice. It is more than enough to get you going for your own farm as you collect seedlings as well. Like moths and revelwood, frogs can be found randomly around, though unlike moths, you can find them day or night. There isn't really a specific spot, though the fishing area the new fisherman craft guy sends you on an early quest has plenty of logs jumping around it. You'll need these to serve as bait for fishing, or Frogger. Cracks are a very common enemy in the region, and they frequently drop gold ore, which is used in a ton of various recipes. Do not ignore this as it adds up significantly. I have collected at least 80% of my gold ore through enemy loot drops versus actually mining it. You can improve this by bumping up the number of enemies and the loot amount in the game settings. Same goes for pearls. They are also the major source for pearls, which isn't used as frequently as gold in recipes, but you'll need it for a few, and most importantly, you'll need it for upgrading your flame level. There are many various refined dust resources crafted from mills that are required in many high-end gear and also in upgrading your flame level. They are slow to craft, a single one takes 8 minutes. Thus, I highly recommend building multiple mills which require a power source, either a water wheel or windmill. The power source just needs to be within the flame altar region and not nearby, as the description would have you believe. As of this update, upon reaching max level 45 and conquering all elixir wells and shroud roots, you will have 184 skill points to spend. In order to reach all shroud roots and elixir wells, you will need level 9 flame strength, which is the new maximum. I've also discussed some of the resource yields you'll need to level it up, but these are easily attainable by around the midpoint of the biome progression. Our first shroud root location is actually below one of the first quest lines you have in the new biome, underneath the giant water wheel. Jump over the edge where you cut off the water to the wheel into the lake below. Underneath the wheel is an underwater cave. It should be reachable without diving gear, but if you have trouble reaching it, save it for later upon having it. Watch out though, as there are many explosive critters surrounding the shroud root, making it tricky to reach. I kited them out of the cave and killed them until I could safely enter without being instantly nuked upon entering it. Our first elixir well location is slightly southeast of Orville on the edge of the Shroud. Nothing distinctive to note about this location as it is pretty straightforward. Kill the fellow enemies in your path, follow the route toward the Shroud route, and destroy it. The next Shroud route location is northeast of the shipwrecks in a small Shroud region. Simply head over there to this location and dispatch of everything in your way and take out the route. This next one will take some careful jumping to reach, but hop across the shipwreck over the burning hot lava and destroy the route. This location is in the very south of the biome, right above the Imperial Gardens and Pike's Port. I believe all remaining elixir wells and shroud routes will require level 9. And this next elixir well is doable without the diving suit and swim fins, but it is much easier with them. So if you want to grab those first, go ahead. Just north of Gold Rock Saddle is the elixir well. Once you are inside, you'll need to go swim through some underwater passages to hit 2 buttons, which unlock a door into a large cavernous area. Up above is the Shroud route. Take it out to clear the well. The next Shroud route is located in the far northeast of the biome. Nothing particularly special about this location except for the Thunder Brute roaming the area. Take him out and any other threats so you can claim your prize. Our last elixir well is sandwiched between the Little Lagoon and Starfish Shores. Again, nothing particularly special about this location either. Just run through, kill everything in your way, and destroy the route. No muss, no fuss. 2 more routes to destroy. The second to last Shroud route is way up northwest above the Little Lagoon. Lots of sirens guarding it, but take them out in whichever manner you prefer and chop down the route. 1 more to go. Remember the throne room where we got the Guard of the North Sword? Well, underneath the throne room is a Shroud route. Head to either side of the throne in the back, go down the stairs which leads to the Shroud route. Careful, there are a couple stalkers down there, which is a new enemy type in this update, and they can hit deceptively hard. Take them out and chop down the last route. Now, if you'd rather have a bit more fun tracking these down yourselves, I'll show you all the obelisk locations which will reveal the Shroud route and elixir well locations on your map. Also, you get a Steam achievement for reading all obelisks, so there's that too. First one I actually randomly ran into while roaming around for passion flowers. How fortuitous. It is slightly northeast of the Spire and southeast of the Gold Rock Saddle. The second and last obelisk location is in the middle of the Little Lagoon underwater. You'll see a red beam protruding from the water which is visible from a distance. Swim down and locate the obelisk at the base of the red beam of light. Let's shift our attention to the other major feature of this update: water. The addition of water has made quite the splash and has changed some of the existing stuff too. So how does water work? Quite intuitively actually. It functions exactly how you would expect. It flows from areas of high concentration to areas of lower concentration and fills the region it occupies. Put simply, make big hole in sand, make small hole to water leading into big hole, water, fill, big hole. Brakes have been modified to allow for fine-tune adjustment and height adjustment. By tweaking the height, you can carve out trenches for irrigation. Placing a water dispenser will direct the flow of water through the trench. Like a natural source of water, the dispenser will continuously pour water into the given area. Feel free to line your irrigation canal with walls and a floor if desired. Now, if you do not want a continuous flow of water, you can use the portable water pump to transport water to fill a cavity, like a pool. But instead of using the pump, which requires refilling from a water source, you could just place and remove a water dispenser. The water will remain after removing and achieves the same purpose without needing to refill any water. And if you do make a messy water mistake, head on over to your flame altar and click the obvious button to remove any water within the region. Another water management device available are the irrigation gates. Simply place these along your water routes to direct the flow of water. Open to let it through and close it to shut it off. Now, because water is now a dynamic thing, the old water pouches have changed as a result. They no longer represent a static amount of water, rather they are a vessel that can hold a specified amount of water and can be filled from any water source. Recipes will now use an amount of water versus a number of water pouches. Since water is everywhere, water exploration is now an important aspect of gameplay. Always jump into the water when exploring a new area, as you might find secrets hidden inside or around a water passage. Always investigate, but beware of underwater traps. Sometimes triggering a button will cause water to fill, and without diving gear, it will most certainly lead to some deaths. more than a few at times. But by default, you only have 30 seconds of oxygen, which goes by extremely quick. So unless you know the exact route to take, you will run out of air often. However, there are sometimes air bubbles underwater. I've seen these in a few spots, but they are always precious, as they grant infinite air as long as you remain inside them. So if you are getting low on oxygen and can't reach the surface, try to get to air bubbles to replenish. I've mentioned throughout the video about all the underwater gear you can get. Time to actually discuss it, starting with the underwater mining. Yes, you can mine underwater resources, namely gold ore if you please. Just north of Orville at the shipwrecks, you'll easily spot a glowing item in the water. That would be the mining sieve. And as advertised, it will allow you to mine materials underwater. Combine with the following items to make underwater work a breeze. The swim fins allow you to swim much faster in water, which is heavenly. However, they are located within the Golden Rock Saddle, which has a lot of buildings. So it can be a bit tricky to find them if you're not sure where to look. Starting at this location here, follow this exact path. I already cleared out most enemies, so there will be more resistance than shown. But upon entering the Shroud, take out the threats and open the gate to grab the swim fins. In hindsight, I should have just busted through the wall beside the gate. Rip lockpick. The dive suit is hands down one of the most useful pieces of gear you will get in this update. It extends your oxygen underwater up to 1.5 minutes, tripling the normal time you have underwater, making everything much easier. It is located in a temple within the Starfish shores. However, reaching the suit can be a bit annoying as you have to do a lot of underwater swimming and looking for buttons to press to open the door to the diving suit. It can be quite brutal, and definitely don't attempt this without the swim fins. Most of the buttons you can find pretty easily after swimming and dying a couple times, but what I will do is show you a shortcut to some air bubbles, and from there how to progress into the next area of the temple. At the start of the underwater passages, drop down into the water, and by the corner of the locked door where the suit is located near some gold coins, dig down. This is immediately over the air bubbles. Assuming you've pressed the buttons in the corridor, follow this exact route. This will lead you to an area with spinning blades. Clear out the coral if you can't safely swim by. This will lead you to the last button. Return to the start and head through the previously locked door and grab the diving suit and rejoice. Okay, enough of water. Let's now discuss some of the other changes in the update related to food, fishing, and farming. Similar to the block user interface, the food categories have also been adjusted to reflect what stats they change. So at a quick glance, you can determine what food will benefit your character build. The fishing mechanic is pretty simple. Craft a fishing rod, better ones of which grant you more stamina. Then grab a fresh set of frogs. Find a spot with some water and a little visible turbulence to signify some fish, throw your line, and then follow the on-screen instructions. Press A or D to counter the fish's pull, and mouse click when it prompts you to do so. Naturally, you'll capture different kinds of fish, but you also have a chance to grab some rare items. When it comes to farming, there are some quality of life changes. Seeds, when viewed either in the journal or in your inventory, will tell you which soil is best for growing that particular crop. Not only that, some crops like rice require the presence of surface water to grow, whereas others need dry conditions. All that information will be available for review, so check it out before growing anything. The new watering can tool allows you to see growth and soil information. You can also gate this growth stage of plants, which will prevent it from growing to full maturity. So if you like the look of a particular growth stage of a plant for decoration, you now have the ability to freeze it at that stage. A couple more random things before we end the video. When progressing through the ancient spire of the new biome, you will encounter this room with many switches. You need to activate the correct ones to open the door. Which ones are the right ones? Well, notice there are two different designs above the switches. Activate all the ones with the more elaborate design. This had me a bit stumped for longer than I'm proud. So if I can save you all a few minutes, I am happy to share my embarrassment. And last but not least for you fellow melee character builds out there, they changed the jump attack so that it activates as you descend from your jump, and they added a new skill that activates as you ascend from your jump. If you have both of these skills, you can use both in a single jump, and against enemies that are a bit larger, it works quite nicely in hitting them for good damage. It costs a fair amount of stamina, so don't spam it recklessly, but it is nice for some damage bursts. Well, this has been quite the update. I'd like to thank Keen Games for another great update. They really knocked this one out of the water park. Hope returning and new players alike gained something from this video. And if you did, please give it a like as that helps our channel out so much. And consider subscribing and tapping the bell for notifications to stay up to date with our current videos. I'd also like to thank our wonderful Patreon community whose collective generosity keeps the channel growing. On that note, this is Eerie Knight signing off. See you all in the next video.